Well, hello to all our friends at Amway Korea. I was asked to share a few thoughts today about my dad because it's his birthday time, and to reflect on some of the things that we learned or that he taught us. And it's pretty important to reflect and remember those messages, those experiences, those stories. But you'll have to forgive me, it's really hard for me to do that without also including Jay. And so as I think about my dad's birthday, I think so much about what we learned from both of them. And I have a few stories I want to share with you. The first one is a story about partnership and trust. There was an author who was writing a book about my father a number of years ago, and he had wanted to interview Jay to get some quotes for the book. And Jay's health at that point was deteriorating. It was very difficult for this author to see him, and so I was asked to ask Jay a few questions, get a few quotes for the book. And it turned into just this wonderful conversation with Jay about his relationship with Dad. And he told lots of different stories and reminded me of the relationship and what they had done together. But he ended with a thought that was pretty powerful. He said, "You know, Doug, at the end of it all, it was really busy when Amway got started." He said, "You know, we had to kind of divide and conquer, if you will. There was times where your dad just had to be in the field. He was out in the field, and he was working with all the leaders in the field, and I was back at the company. And we had this relationship, though, this bond and this trust, that whatever he was doing, whatever he said, whatever commitments he made, I supported him 100%. And then Jay smiled and looked at me and he said, "Even when he was wrong." And I laughed, and I thought that would be the end of the story, but Jay continued and he said, "And you know, when your dad was there, I was here in Ada. I was at the company. I was building the product line and the manufacturing capabilities and other things like that. And I knew that whatever I was doing, your dad trusted me. And he supported me 100%. And then he smiled one more time and said, "Even when I was wrong." You know, partnerships built on trust accept that we're human. They understand that we're going to make mistakes. It's not going to be perfect all the time, but there's trust. There's a commitment to be together, to work through those times and stay together going forward. That's the story of Rich and Jay, and that's the story of Amway Korea. The history of Amway Korea has a lot of ups and downs. And you have dealt with so many challenges, and you're dealing with tremendous challenges right now. You're going through tough times, but yet you're sticking together. You're working together. You're finding solutions to the challenges that you're facing. You're building on that spirit of partnership and on that trust and commitment to each other. And that's just such a beautiful thing, and that's so critical to the success of Amway and to the success of every Amway leader. To not only have that trust in others, but to be trustworthy yourself. That your word is your worth, and that when you say something, you'll do it. Doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect. We're not perfect. The company's not perfect. But yet there's a spirit of partnership and this trust that will get us through every challenge, even a global pandemic. Even a global pandemic that's impacting Korea in incredibly difficult ways and impacting you and your business. We will stick together and we'll move through it. The second story that comes to mind that I want to share is about being a builder and moving forward. Many years ago, there was a project, a development in downtown Grand Rapids. And as many of you know, Dad, Jay, and Amway were very committed to our community. You're familiar with the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel, and they did a lot of things in our community to help make it better. Well, there was a big project that was established, and it was failing. It was done poorly from the beginning. It just wasn't working right. There was a big building that was built, and the building was literally falling apart. Well, Dad and Jay felt that they needed to be part of the solution. So they got involved with this project. They tried to figure out how to solve it, how to help it, how to take it forward. And what they were left with was a big problem. And it was at the time when those of us in the second generation were part of some of these discussions with Dad and Jay. They brought us in, and they were discussing two alternatives of what could happen with this project. One was that they could invest a lot of money to try to fix it. And two, the second alternative was that they could just call it quits. They could take the building down, collect the insurance for whatever happened. It was still a financial loss, but it would be minimum and without any risk. Well, those of us in the second generation were kind of looking at these alternatives and remembered some movies that had been made about buildings that were taken down. They were very glamorous. They weren't just taken down. They were exploded. They were these incredible movies with all this dramatic action around them, and as these buildings would blow up and as they would fall down and as they were these dramatic stories told. So we're like, wow, this is a great solution. If you decide to take the building down, we can blow it up. We'll make a movie. We'll put Grand Rapids on the map. And we began having this silly discussion about all the ways that the project could be ended. And I remember the conversation as we were having it amongst the second generation. All of a sudden we got quiet because we noticed that Dad and Jay were not participating in this conversation. They didn't like it very much. And we at least had the wisdom to stop and go, did we do something wrong? And I remember Jay just shaking his head, kind of looking down at the table. And I remember my father going, Jay, what are you thinking? And Jay just shook his head. He said, no. He said, no. He said, we don't blow things up. We build things up. We're going to move forward. There's only one solution here. And that was the solution to rebuild, to figure out a way to fix it, and to make it a good development in our community. We build things up. We talked about the challenges that we're facing in business, and there's challenges that you face in life. But there's a mentality and a mindset of growing, of going forward, of building things up. And that's a powerful reminder of who they were and what they believed. And then they spent their whole life building things up. And whenever we get together and we talk about the business, we talk about the future, let's be reminded that we're builders, we're encouragers, and we move forward. Well, the last story that comes to my mind is a very personal one about how you can do it. As you know, my father, that was his phrase, and he went around the world, and when you'd ask him, so, hey, Rich, how did this all happen? He said, I just told people they could do it. I just told people I believed in them. They could do it. And I remember once when I was a small child, and I was having trouble making friends at school. Typical, right? Every kid goes through this sort of thing. Well, when you're Rich DeVos's kid, it's cause for a motivational speech. And so Dad was right there. He was on it. But he wasn't gonna give me any opportunity to make excuses. He said, if you want to make friends, you've got to be positive. You can do it, but you've got to go out and make the friend. Don't just wait for friends to come to you. And he began to explain to me that I had to do things differently, that I had to be a happy person and an inviting person, and I had to be a person who was willing to start a conversation with somebody and to find somebody who also may have had trouble making a friend, and that I needed to go and start something and building a relationship with them. And I remember him taking me to school that morning and encouraging me as I went into school. He said, "Go get him, Mr. Happy." It seems so silly now, but I remember the story all these years later because he believed in me. And I watched my whole life as he expressed his belief in people and as he expressed his belief in you. Whatever your situation, wherever you're coming from, Amway is an incredible business with support all around you. You have an incredible upline. You have incredible leaders who've demonstrated their ability to be successful. They know how to be successful. They've done it. They can teach it. They can show you how it happened for them and encourage you along the way. But they can't do it for you. The company can have all the newest products and the best support and the best technology and the best operations. And we do the best we can, but we can't do it for you. Our job with all the leaders is to express our belief and our confidence in you and to say you can do it. But only you can set your goals. Only you can take the actions necessary for success. Only you can be committed to working through challenges once you've had a failure. Only you can do it for yourself, for your business. And in Amway, once you do it, you're compelled to reach out to others to help them do the same. So these are the messages I just wanted to share as we reflect on Dad's birthday, on this timing. These are timeless messages that impact my life, and I hope they are impacting and helpful for your life and your business as you go forward as well. The spirit of trust and partnership, this idea of being a builder, and this knowledge that you have within you the ability to be successful, but you're going to have to do the work. So thanks for giving me this opportunity to share those thoughts. I trust all is well for you, even in the midst of tremendous challenge. We can still be positive, we can still look forward, and we can still move forward together. Thanks, everyone.